Mr. President, how did your close ties with Enron shape your energy policy?
Mr. President, how did you turn a record surplus into a record deficit?
Mr. President, why is it called the Patriot Act when it takes away our freedoms?
President Bush,
why is the United States the only country that's doing nothing about global warming?
And why are we still the only rich country without universal health care?
Mr. President, when you claimed Iraq had nuclear weapons in last year's State of the Union address, did you know it was a lie?
Mr.
President, where are you? What do you have to say about all of this?
It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Question: the heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
What makes this book so relevant, even though it was written over 100 years ago, is that it's about terrorism.
The work, sex, cars, bars, broads.
And with children, it's building on what they have. They have great imagination.
Dementia is not a diagnosis. It's a set of symptoms.
And he kept explaining to me that I wasn't gay. You cannot be gay. You just cannot.
The main thing is to be open and honest and be, true to yourself.
Hello and welcome to Talking About. My name is Jon Griffith and I'll be your host tonight. We've got a great show for you today. First up, my guest is Lisa Chipetine, and we're going to be discussing, is the proper term still just quilting?
Well, quilting has come in, it's really expanded. It's not traditionally quilting anymore. Quilting has expanded into being what they call the fiber arts or into art quilting. And it's not just your traditional bed quilting anymore.
So this isn't your grandma's quilting?
No, but there is a still very large audience for traditional quilting. I mean, a lot of that is still done in the Amish country in Pennsylvania. But as generations are coming forward now, you will see a lot more of people moving towards the more contemporary venues into the art quilting.
So the traditional with the technological?
There's a lot of interesting ways that you can manufacture these quilts now. I mean, a lot of people still do a lot of handwork, but you are still able to now use a machine as a drawing tool. You can do things like thread painting. You can use what's called fusible web.
Okay, well, let's go through them one by one. What is thread painting?
Thread painting. Well, thread painting, if I can show you.
Sure.
This is a prime example of thread painting. And thread painting is also called machine embroidery. And it's whereby you take multiple layers of thread to create dimension and an illusion of depth in a quilt.
Okay.
But it is you are using your sewing machine as a drawing tool.
So instead of a paintbrush, it's the sewing machine.
Exactly, exactly. You can combine different threads, 1, 2, 3 different threads through a needle to blend it. It's just like a painter with a palette.
Okay. So and is there a mixed medium in here, or is it just different types of fabric and different types of thread? Or
that's very interesting because what's happened is, and you may have heard the term called mixed media. And mixed media is when you use not only fabric, but you use threads and other types of objects are brought in. Sometimes they use plastics, foams, things that are outside the norm that are brought into the piece, and that's why it's called mixed media.
Okay.
For example, in this piece here, this is cellophane that has been melted under a piece of parchment paper using an iron. And what happens is that it bubbles up and creates a texture to almost look like rocks.
Okay.
And then you can take it and you can sew through it.
So it's still flexible and it's still maneuverable.
It's still flexible. It's still maneuverable, and it creates a different vision for you in looking at the piece.
Okay.
This piece also has some other interesting things in that the velvet that was used, I took and burned it, actually, right in here. I took a match and a candle and burned it to create a different illusion with the fabrics.
Watch out for your microphone.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's just I don't want to burn the ears of our audio man. But yeah, it gives it an interesting feel.
Yes, and the thing that I think a lot of the art quilt community, they are looking for you to look at this as a piece of art.
Yes, I mean, initially when we had first gotten in touch, you had sent me links to some web pages.
Yes.
And had I not known when I was looking at the web pages that I was looking at quilts, I would have thought that I was looking at photos of stained glass.
It's interesting because there is a type of quilting that is called stained glass or cathedral quilting that looks like stained glass window. The nice thing about this type of quilting is that I have no formal art training whatsoever. And these are the types of things that you can do and still not have to have formal art training and still accomplish them.
Right.
This particular piece, I had taken a class from my friend, her name is Estarita Austin, and she teaches how to create an illusion of depth by using different colors of fabric, lights, darks, and mediums to create illusion.
Okay, and this again is called the type of quilting?
This would be called thread painting.
Thread painting. Okay, I just want to reiterate that for... And what are some of the other examples that we have here?
Well, another example is that this is something that is actually going to be my next quilt.
Okay.
And this is very advanced technology-wise because what I did with this is that I had taken photographs from out west. I had utilized the program Corel Draw and manipulated them into an abstract format on my screen and created an image with them.
Okay.
Here on the border, there is another image here that is actually my husband and a guide hiking through the Paria Canyons out there. When I finished it on screen, I took the image to a printer that prints onto fabric using fiber reactive dyes. So this is literally dyed onto this fabric.
Okay, so it's a very intricate process then.
It's an extremely intricate process. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to layer it and I'm going to thread paint it, such as I did this, to try and enhance it that way.
Give it more depth?
Yes, to give it more depth and a little more texture as well.
Okay.
The interesting thing about quilting is that it's very cross-cultural. Quilting was very important to the African Americans. I don't know if you know that. During the...
I'm a blank slate on the subject.
Okay. During the Underground Railroad, quilts were used to give signals. And the women would sew in different patterns and things that were people would go outside, they would wrap a quilt around them, and they were used as signals to the outside world to show when it was safe to move, that type of thing. Women used quilts to be able to express themselves during the women's movement, both humorously and politically. So it's come a long way with that. The nice thing about it is that it's something that you can do at all ages. Children, I have found, are very particularly intrigued with it.
Yes, I mean, just by the sheer artistry. I mean, children and color. Children
and color. And, you know, this is not just sewing a pair of pants, you know.
Right.
This is something that's very, very different. They're intrigued to come around you. I have nieces and nephews who I put together packages for them, and we thread paint, and they sit on my lap, and they get the whole movement, and it's fun.
Well, you do teach this as well.
Yes, I do.
So, and teaching the next generation is a strong part of that.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. It's a very important thing to me because it saddens me how many children, even though I'm a personal lover of the computer and its capabilities, that I don't want to see us having a generation where we have no trades or any crafts left for people to be able to make things by hand and enjoy the ability to do that.
I think that's where a plus in the fact that you're able to bring in some modern innovations to a traditional form.
Oh yes, and like I said, it's something that you don't have to be. You can start out very simply, as well. And I think that the thing that stops a lot of people from doing something like this is A, that they are worried about how much art training that they have, and B, if they're a good sewer.
Right.
Well, I am here to tell you that I don't know how to hem a pair of pants on my sewing machine, and that is the truth.
Okay, and yet you can create works of art.
But I can quilt like the daylights. And one has nothing to do with the other. It's almost like with scuba diving. Is it great to be a great swimmer and be a scuba diver? Yes. Do you have to be No, you can still be able to learn how to scuba dive without being a super excellent swimmer. You can create this and not be a wonderful sewer, because what you're utilizing is only basically 2 stitches on your sewing machine.
Okay.
And that's a straight stitch and what's called a zigzag stitch. And between the 2 of them, you can do
create
all of this.
Wow. Do you find that, is there a growing quilting movement, for lack of a better word?
Oh, very, very much so. People don't understand that it's such a quiet cottage industry. 55,000 women a year go to the largest quilt show in the United States, which is in the George Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. It is a $3 billion industry. It virtually saved several of the textile manufacturers here in the United States, because I'm sure, as you know, a lot of the textile firms have gone overseas, and a lot of that manufacturing has left the garment center in New York.
Okay.
And the quilting industry has helped save a lot of it here at home.
And apparently it applies to garments as well. We do have a vest on display as well.
Yes, they call vests such as this wearable art.
Okay.
That's the term that they'll use for it. And you can take patterns. And this particular vest was the first and only garment I've ever made.
Okay.
And I was determined to do that after I got into my first exhibition at the Chandler Arts Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow. So, but
it's incredible. And just more on a local level, you mentioned the largest gathering. Are there gatherings more on a local level that you wanted to bring to the viewers' attention?
Yes, absolutely. I belong to a local quilt guild called the Smithtown Stitchers.
Okay.
And we have 250 members out in Smithtown, Long Island, from the surrounding area. And every 2 years we hold a very large quilt show, which is a combination of both traditional and art quilts.
Okay.
Some of them are judged, some of them are not. There are also dolls and wearable art.
Okay. And is there a website that...
Yes, there is. Yes, our guild website is www.quiltsmith, that's QUILTSMITH.org.
Okay.
Our show this year is going to be at the Student Activity Center at Stony Brook University.
Okay,
and that's,
just by visiting that website, people can get more information.
Yes, absolutely.
And there will be a link to that website on the Talking About website, which is www.talkingabout.info. So just in case you didn't get all of that, just hit our website, and that link is going to be up there for the long haul. But again, it is an incredible art form, and as you said, it's a growing art form. And our time for this segment is just about up. And I really want to thank you for being here. And again, if you want to explore more about quilting, visit our website, www.talkingabout.info. Quiltsmith.org is the other website.
Quiltsmith.org. Or anyone feel free to email me at Lisa at my website, threadplay.com, and I would be happy to get you directions or anything you need.
And that link will be on our website as well. And I will be back in just a moment. But first, we're going to check in with our resident couples counselor, Dr. Cynthia, as we ask Dr. Cynthia. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Cynthia. I'm Dr. Cynthia Pizzulli, certified sex therapist and psychotherapist here on Long Island. Today we have an email from Tisha, who writes, I am 28 years old and I'm currently in a great relationship with a wonderful guy. The problem is, ever since I first started having sex, it's always been a painful experience. I'm afraid if my boyfriend finds out how much I hate it, he'll leave me. Tisha, painful intercourse is a lot more common than you think, and a lot of times it goes untreated. I think if you actually see a medical doctor, see your gynecologist, and get a referral for a good therapist, you can start to understand the roots of the problem. Sometimes we can find actual medical things that can be causing the problem, such as a lesion in the vagina or some type of scar tissue. And sometimes it's about emotional blocks, like if you've been abused or you've been in a situation where you weren't made to feel completely comfortable with your sexual response, you might be more apt to not get lubricated or aroused during sex, and that can cause it to be more painful. Either way, the most important thing is that you have an open and honest relationship with your boyfriend and that you can talk about these things. In a healthy relationship, he wouldn't leave you. He'd support you through this, and that way you both can become closer during the process. I also want you to know that there is a very good chance you will learn to have healthy, happy, fulfilling intercourse, and it won't be painful anymore with the right help. Thank you for writing. If you'd like to ask me a question, you can email me at askdrcynthia@talkingabout.info or write to the address on your screen.
Well, I am back, and during the remainder of this program, I will be discussing backpack safety. My name is Jonathan Griffith, and my guest is Dr. David Reich. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, and backpack safety. It's something that we're hearing a little bit more and more about. What began to focus so much attention on the topic of backpack safety?
Well, I'm the chairperson of the New York State Chiropractic Association Education Committee for the District of Queens. And we had a meeting, and we felt that the right agenda would be to talk about backpack safety awareness. We're seeing more and more children coming into our offices with back pain, which we hadn't seen years ago, and it could be attributed to the improper use of backpacks. So our committee decided that we were going to go to the various public schools, the elementary schools, and talk with PTA at PTA meetings about backpack safety, and that's how we started it.
Okay, and you said that more and more children are starting to have back problems. What about the backpacks are the factors that lead to those problems?
Well, the problems which we see are with regards to the improper use of backpacks are the fact that the backpacks, children are carrying way too heavy of backpacks. It's not unusual for a child to be carrying a 25, 30, even a 40-pound backpack when the recommended weight limit should be between 10 to 15% of the child's weight. So for an example, if a child weighs 100 pounds, the backpack should be between 10 to 15 pounds maximum. But children are carrying 20, 25 pounds, and that's what's creating much of the problems which we're seeing. So it has to do, number one, with how much material they're actually carrying. Also, backpacks are constructed in various different ways. You can buy a low-end backpack, which is merely a canvas bag with two straps on it,
right.
And as a result of which, when the child is carrying it, the weight is not being distributed properly.
There's just two little strings.
Well, I'll show you a couple of very nice, interesting features with regards to certain backpacks.
Okay.
This backpack I'd like to show you first. This is a very fine backpack. Couple of features which we like to show you and which is recommended are the thickness of the straps.
Okay, we're just going to kind of hold this out and kind of...
This particular backpack has very, very nice thick straps. It also has a piece which comes across this way, which rests over the cervical-dorsal junction, which is basically where the neck and the upper back meet. And it's a very comfortable backpack. It doesn't compress many of the important structures in the front of the shoulders. Also, with regards to backpacks, they should be a certain size. It should be fitted for the child. The bottom of the backpack should rest right at the waistline, and the top of the backpack should be right where the neck meets the shoulders. If it's too small, it's not going to be carrying enough books, and it's not going to fit right. And if it's too big, it's not going to fit right as well. A couple of other features of a good quality backpack would include the inside. What we're looking at here, this particular backpack...
Kind of gauge it out this way.
Okay. There's a number of different pockets in it, but the pocket which I think is of most interest in this is this one.
Let's kind of turn this...
Okay. Here we go. Over here, we can see the internal construction of this particular backpack has a frame in it. And this frame, number one, keeps the books in a proper location, plus it distributes the weight evenly.
So they don't kind of bulge out in inappropriate places and strike the back.
Also, what we like to do is when we talk about backpack safety, we like to explain that the majority of the heavy objects should be kept along the back of the backpack and in the bottom as opposed to the top. It would be upright, but more towards you want the weight, the heavy things, to be against the back of the backpack and on the bottom. You don't want to put them on top of the backpack because that's going to throw off the center of balance when a child is carrying it. This is a very good backpack, has these nice features. Another backpack I'd like to show you is this one over here. And this one is very interesting. It has a bladder built inside, and you can actually pump it up, and you put it on, and the child pumps it up, so this way it exerts pressure against the back and it's very good for support, and it also helps distribute the weight evenly as well. Another thing which I like to bring to attention is the fact that these backpacks, they need to be adjusted properly. That the straps it's important that they stay in the right position, so the straps must be adjusted properly. Another feature of backpacks, which I think parents should look for, is this, and this backpack has it. This is a very important feature. Is this waist or the belt strap, where the child would put it around the waist, and it would help support and keep it close to the body. These are some of the features which we would want to see in a good quality backpack.
Okay, and would you recommend that a parent purchase a backpack with the child present?
Oh, unquestionably, that's what you should do to make sure that it's fitting properly. It should be fitting between the shoulders and the waist. That's the right side. And it shouldn't be too wide for the child and shouldn't be too narrow for the child as well.
So whether you're preparing to, for school season or for summer camp season, just take the child with you when you go.
And, this is something, when you buy a backpack, you can buy backpacks for $5 or $6. You can buy backpacks for $50 or $60. Try not to buy the inexpensive ones. Like I mentioned before, they're nothing more than canvas bags with straps. You want to buy one which is going to prevent injury from occurring. See, the problems we see also is the fact that young children are carrying these backpacks, and their spines have not fully adapted yet. The bones haven't fully grown to their potential. The muscles are still has not reached their adult potential. And the problems which are created when a child is young due to poorly fitting backpacks or too heavy of backpacks will give them problems when they get into their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and sometimes it could be irreversible. So it can lead to problems such as disc herniations and arthritis. Some of the common things which we see with children is numbness and tingling in the arms caused by improperly fitting backpacks, by having the straps too tight, by having too much weight on them or just not being lined up properly, and this will cause, again, more problems as they get older.
Do you think, is it that books are heavy, or
Well,
schools are giving more homework?
A lot of schools are requiring that children bring their books to school, their textbooks to school. I foresee a day in the future that kids will be carrying a little thing which looks like a DVD player and CDs, and they might carry 8 or 9 CDs with them and plug in. But not until that time, children will be carrying textbooks with them on their way to school. And most textbooks, you put 5 or 6 textbooks in there, you have yourself 25 to 30 pounds of weight, plus the weight of the bag as well. Also, another very important thing I'd like to bring out is the way a backpack is carried. Many times children like carrying backpacks over one shoulder. That's not the way they're designed to be used. They're designed to be capped on both shoulders so that, again, the weight is distributed evenly. So the proper carrying of it is very important, the way a child utilizes it.
As a result of the single shoulder carry, I've seen more packs designed with one strap. Are those...
Well, they're designed with one strap. They are, the ones which are designed with 2 straps are designed to be used as 2 straps. You are better off using the one with 2 straps than one. See, a good backpack can actually help promote good posture in a child, assuming that it's not too heavy. It's that when you get too heavy is when the problems come up. What happens is a too heavy a backpack is going to logically move the center of gravity backwards and make the child go backwards. In order to compensate for it, the child's going to have to hump over, and this is where some of the problems actually develop. We see postural misalignments develop as a result of carrying, backpacks improperly. We see what we call vertebral subluxations, which essentially mean bones in the spine which have come out of their normal position and irritate nerves, and other things which headaches, neck pain, neck tension. All these things develop as a result of, poor utilization of backpacks.
And these aren't simple problems that are easily rectified. These, as you said, can carry
through the lifetime.
Okay, and are there certain warning signs that parents should be on the lookout for, just to say that the child may not be using, say they have a quality backpack, how can a parent maintain that the child use the backpack properly?
Well, I think education is probably the most important thing. You see, we never learned, the parents never learned how to teach their children how to use a backpack properly. So we are hoping that through our program with the New York Chiropractic Association that we can get the word out and teach parents what to look for with backpacks, and to make sure that their children are not taking a lot of unnecessary things which they don't have to take, to make sure that they pack the backpacks properly, things which just common sense, or maybe they may not be common sense. Maybe with our educational program they will become common sense eventually. But that's what we're hoping for through the program.
Can you see a lot more backpacks that look like little luggage carriers now with wheels? I mean, are they helpful, or can they...
I was reading on those. I was reading up on those. And essentially, they weigh about 80% more unpacked. They weigh about 80% more than a regular backpack. And as a result, also, they tend to be bigger. And the truth is, children happen to load them up a lot heavier than they would a normal backpack. And at some point, they're going to have to lift it up anyway. So there's also the point that you try to carry, you try to schlep it along with you, drag it backwards.
Right, and that's with one arm.
That'll put stress on the back. A backpack, properly, with a proper amount of books, is probably one of the best ways to carry things around. But I would not recommend entirely the roll-around ones, the things which like the luggage on the wheels. I think that is a problem amongst itself. That's not the answer.
Okay. Okay. So just to recap somewhat, the top 3 things that parents should be aware of.
Number 1, the weight of the backpack. They should not be carrying more than 10 to 15% of the child's weight. Number 2, don't get a backpack which has no forms of support of the books. Don't get a canvas bag with straps on it. And number 3, make sure that the backpack is adjusted properly to fit the child. Those would be if I had to pick out the top 3, that would be it.
Okay, and where can people go to learn more about backpack safety?
Well, where I learned about it is that the chiropractic associations throughout the United States, the American Chiropractic Association, the chiropractic colleges, they have information. Go online, and just put in backpack safety,
okay.
and a lot of information will be coming out. That's how I get most of my information.
I'll have some links on our website, which is www.talkingabout.info. We have about 15 seconds left. Time has just flown by on the show. I personally have learned a lot, and I want to thank you for being with us today.
And John, I want to thank you for having us here and allowing me the opportunity to be able to get the message out about backpack safety. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, www.talkingabout.info. We're out of time. I'll see you next time.